Hi everyone, welcome to Masai School. We are a 21st century career-focused coding school. My name is Aman Vats. I'm an engineering graduate from Birla Institute of Technology, Mistra. I lead the data structures and algorithm curriculum at Masai School. So let me tell you about this video series. In this video series, we'll be introduced to computer programming. You will learn how to write basic computer programs. You will learn the basic constructs of a computer program, that is data types of variables, conditional statement, loops, functions, everything. And you will be learning this in Python. All right. So this is a very fundamental video to getting started with computer programming in Python. And this video series is actually a part of the pre-course for the full stack developer program at Masai School. And now we have decided to make this course available for all aspiring programmers. So we really hope that it helps you in getting started with computer programming and in Python. So happy coding. Thank you so much.
All right, welcome back, guys. In this segment, let's start with a problem statement. Okay, suppose I ask you to print your name 10 times. Okay, how will you do that? So, one option, what we have learned so far, one option is that you can write print statement. So, print, suppose I want to print Masai school. Okay, so print Masai school, and you keep on doing this 10 times. Okay, so we can use the Control C, Control V, and then we can write this that many times. Okay, so now let's compile this. Let's load. Yeah, it printed it 10 times. But what if I ask you to do it 100 times? We won't be writing it 100 times, right? There needs to be a better way than manually writing it 100 times. Yeah, there exists a better way to. Let's learn something called as loops. Okay, so for the moment, let's first try to understand. Let me just write a syntax. Okay, so if you want to print it 10 times, I'm just writing for the time. Let's just go through how it happens. We'll go through exactly what is happening, why is it happening. But for the sake of understand printing it 10 times, let's just do it like this for the time. Print, say, school. All right. Now, if I run this right now, suppose I run this, yeah, it did print 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it did print Masai school 10 times. What if I wanted to do it, suppose 5 times? I changed there 5, and let's run this program again. I just said, so yes, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically what is happening, whatever number we are putting in this bracket of range, this particular thing is getting executed that many times. Okay, so before getting into how is it exactly getting executed, let's look at the syntax. So I've written for uh, I, or you could have written anything here. You could have written J, K, or anything. Let me write J, and let's see if it works similarly or not. So let's clear it off. Let's again do this. Yes, it works similarly. So I just written any character J. We'll look at it exactly how is it happening. Then we've written in range, and then we have provided it a number. The number is the number of time we want this inner thing to happen. Suppose I print uh, Bangalore inside this. Okay, so let's see what it is. Sorry, it didn't work out. Let's see. Okay, I haven't saved it. All right, let's clear this. Yeah, it did print Masai school Bangalore, Masai school Bangalore. So if you see, whatever we are writing within this space, so what we have done is we have written for J in range and the number of time we want the below thing to happen, and then indented it by 4 spaces. We have just put it inside. So if you just look here, you can have just look here. So what we have done is we've just put it inside this thing. So whatever we write inside the 4 space indented, is getting executed. Okay, suppose we write here. So if I write here, say print Patna, because we have two branches right now, in one in Bangalore, one in Patna. So if I just execute the program, yes, it's showing Masai School Bangalore Patna. Okay, and it's doing that thing 5 times. So whatever we have written in here, it's that thing is getting printed. Those, I mean, that number of times. Okay, so exactly what is happening? I mean, why is this thing happening multiple number of times? So let me clear this. Let's try to understand this, what is happening. So we looked at what has happened. I mean, how can we achieve the question statement, the problem statement that we started with, doing a task multiple number of times. We are doing something called, we are writing for and any character in range and in bracket the number of times we wanted to achieve, and then a print statement. All right, so that is what is happening here. But how exactly is this thing? What is happening under the hood that this thing is printing 5 times? Okay, so this is called loops. And what exactly is happening? We have two questions. So let's look at that one by one. So what is happening here is, I'll quickly use the pen. Let's draw a line to understand this. So Python is temporarily declaring a variable and assigning it value 0. Okay, I mean, this particular statement means temporarily declare a variable j. It's a variable j, and assign a value 0 to it. Okay, and till the time that j is lesser than 5, keep doing whatever written inside that loop, or inside that particular uh, block, and keep incrementing j by 1. Okay, so this is initialized. So Python just initialized a variable named j with a value 0, and then it checked for condition. Okay, checked if j is less than the value provided here, that is 5. Okay, if it is true, if true, do whatever written inside it. Do whatever written inside it. It did whatever written inside it, and then increment j by 1. That is j is equal to j plus 1. Okay, so guys, make sure you understand it before moving further. Initialize j with a value 0, check if j is less than 5. If true, do whatever written inside the block. So did this, and increment it by 1. Okay, now let's try to understand this again. We did one basic thing. Exactly what is this doing? So let's look at it again. So what Python did for you is, it initialized j is equal to 0. Is j lesser than 5? Yes, it is. J is lesser than 5. True. So implement it. So it printed Masai school. So it followed that. Then it incremented j is equal to 1. Okay. Again, Python will check, is j lesser than 5? Yes, it is. True. It will print Masai school again, and it will again increment it by 1 and make it 2. Again, it will go check that if j is lesser than 5. Yes, it is. If it is lesser than 5, then it will again print that, and it will again increment j to 3. And it will keep on doing this. So there is a process which is happening time and again. Okay, the process is repeating. So that's why it's called loop. Okay, so what is it there is happening? We are initializing, then we are checking a condition, and we are performing a task. We are incrementing the variable. Okay, guys, please make sure you understand this before moving further, because this is something that we will be using uh, quite a lot in our course. And you will be using it a lot in Python whenever you want to repeat some task, or whenever you want to perform an operation or something multiple number of times. You will be using this. Okay, so let's look at it again. because I want to make sure that you understand this properly as in the as finest way as you can. So suppose, so it does not matter whether you name it J or whether you name it I. Okay, if you name it I, so you can, I mean, the same thing will happen. Let's run this. The same thing will happen. You will have one variable called I, and that's sorry. Yeah, the same thing is happening, right? It does not matter what is the name of the variable. The idea is I will initialize with a value called 0. Then I will, then basically this is to check whether variable is within that limit. All right, and in the end, after performing this operation, it increments by 1. Okay, so let's do one thing, guys. Let's at this point, let's along with Masai school, let's also print the value of I. So let's print I. Okay, let's see what is happening in that case. So let's first clear it off. Yeah, it did print that. So it printed Masai school. It printed 0 because as we discussed, I start with 0. So first time I is equal to 0. So it printed 0. Then I got incremented to 1. Again, the condition was checked. Is I lesser than 5? Yes, it is lesser than 5. So it again gets into implementing that this particular line. So again, Masai school is implemented. And since I got incremented to 1, so it prints 1 here. Then again it got incremented, so it prints Masai school, and it prints the incremented value 2, and it kept on happening till I is equal to 4. Why? Because when I hits 5, so it's no more lesser than 5. So it breaks that condition, and your program comes to the end of that loop. Okay, so make sure at this point you understand what do we mean by loop. Okay, there is a task that is repeating, so we are calling it loop. What do we mean? I mean, when do we use it? We use it when we want to repeat some task. Okay, and yeah, so on and so forth. I mean, I hope you understand this part. All right, I mean, make sure you understand this, or ask us in the Slack group if you have some doubt, but make sure you understand it before moving further. Okay, so yeah, great. So let's discuss something else. Yeah, so suppose you want to customize this thing, as in, suppose, I mean, in this case, you are going from 0 to 5, but I mean, for some reason, you want to go from, say, 2 to 20, and uh, so let's do that. So what we can do is, in this range, we can pass to 20. Okay, so let's print I. Let's print I. Let's print this. Yeah, it does go from 2 to 20, but it won't touch 20. If we want to include 21 as well, we will have to do 21, because as we know, this checks. Okay, now it's going through there. So basically, you can provide, you can use range in 3 ways. Let me show you how. So you can use range like range, where do you want to start your variable, where do you want to stop your variable, and what is the step that you want to take. So the default value of start is 0, the default value of step is 1. So basically, when we were not writing anything, when we were just writing one number, so when we were just writing, suppose 10 here, when we were just writing 10, what basically was happening is the default value of start was 0, stop was, so a stop is something that you always need to provide. So if we just put 10, so it becomes range 0, 10, and 1. So basically, it starts with 0, it checks the condition whether that variable is less than 10, and then it basically increments by one step. Okay, so it basically makes I is equal to I plus 1 after end of executing this line. All right, so this is basically, I mean, how you can customize your loop. I mean, if you want to perform this task multiple times and you want to customize it, then this is how you can do it. So suppose I want to print for, suppose j is equal to, for j in range, uh, say 5 to 10, but you want to print two step, I mean you want to increment jump two steps. So let me just show by example as to what I mean by that. Let's clear this. So let's run this code now. So you can see it started with 5. Again it checked that it's lesser than 10. Yes, it is lesser than 10, so it went inside this loop, it printed j. So j was 5, then again it incremented by 2, because this time the condition is 2 here. So 5 becomes 7. Again it checked whether 7 is less than 10. Yes, it is less than 10, so it again got incremented by 2 and it printed, uh, and it became 9, and so on and so forth. Okay, suppose we do it till 14 and let's make it 3. Let's look at what is happening. Yeah, it's 5 at 11. So basically what has happened, I'll again walk you through the exact steps because it's very important for you to understand this. So yeah, what has happened, you started j with 5. Okay, j is 5, and is it less than 14? Yes, it is less than 14. So first step, initialization happened, then the condition check happened. Yes, 5 is less than 14. So you implemented whatever written within that block. So it's written print j, so it printed 5, correct? Now it again got incremented by 3, so j became 8 now. Now you again checked, is j lesser than 14? Yes, it is. So you implemented whatever written here, so you printed 8. Okay, now again you incremented it by 3, so it became 11. Okay, you again checked, is it lesser than 14? Yes, it is lesser than 14, so you again implemented that, so it printed 11. Again you incremented it by 3, it became 14. Is it lesser than 14? No, it's no more lesser than 15. 14, it has become equal to 14. So the program broke out of the loop, and basically this is how uh, for loop is executed. So for any variable name, it can be anything. In range, this is start, this is stop, this is step, and you write whatever you want it to do. But please remember, if there is just one thing you are writing inside the bracket, it is just, so in that case the variable will default in a default manner start from 0 and will check for terminating condition of that value and will increment one step at a time. All right, so let me show you that as well. So if I just write, suppose, I mean if I remove 3 as well as remove 5 as well, so in this time the default value is taken as 0 comma 0 1. Okay, this is the default value, so let's remove this. So you at least needs to put one number inside this bracket. So now if you'll run this, you'll see 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 11 9 10 11 12 13. Why? Because it's starting from 0, it's incrementing one at a time. This is just the stop condition. Okay, so I hope you got the idea behind how basically for loop works and why is it called a loop and the different versions of using range. Okay, so that's important, and the syntax for variable name in range and the way you want to use it, followed by your semicolon with 4 space indented and all the codes that you want to write. So you can have multiple things do here. So suppose I want to print 2 times j, print, hey, it's awesome. Okay, so you can do all the things that you want to do inside. So I mean all the things indented by 4 space will get executed whenever that condition is met. So yeah, you can see here. Okay, we printed j, we printed twice of j, and we printed, hey, it's awesome, for all the time that the loop runs. Okay, so this is how for loop works, and I hope you understand why it is a loop. I am mentioning it time and again. Okay, there's one more way through which you can do this. We can use something called as, so this was for loop, let's look at something called as while loop. So how we could have done this is, suppose, I mean we could have done the same task another way. So you initialize, suppose I is equal to j. Now you say while I is less than, say, 10. Okay, so this is how you say that please keep running whatever I am writing inside till I is less than 10. Okay, this is what it means. Now if I write print Masai school, okay, and in the end I is equal to I plus 1. Otherwise what will happen, we have initialized I is equal to 0. So in line number 2, I is a variable, I is a variable that got initialized and it stores value 0 in it. Now on line number 3, what we mean by this particular statement is keep running whatever written below uh, till I is lesser than 10. Okay, so I is lesser than 10. Yes, it's 0 right now, it's lesser than 10, so it prints Masai school, prints Masai school. But now I got incremented by 1, so now it becomes 1. So this would happen, this would keep on happening. I will become 2, I'll become 3, I'll become 4, and it will keep on happening till I become 9. When I become 10, this is no more lesser than 10, so you will break out of this loop. All right, so the same task, I mean the same task that we were doing so far, but in a different manner. Okay, so suppose you wanted to increment it by, 2 steps at a time. So what we could have done in that case is we could have, so let's run this particular command first. Let's run this particular command first. Okay, I haven't saved it, so make sure you save it before you run it, because otherwise it won't get executed. So yeah, you can see Masai school, it got printed 10 times. What if I just put 2 here? So I'll be incremented 2 at a time. Yeah, so it will just got printed 5 times because here I is so let's print I so that we can analyze the value of I, how is it incrementing. So guys, what will the value of I in the first go? It will be 0, then it will get incremented by 2, it will become 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, and when it will become equal to 10, it would get terminated, because what this line on line number 3 means, keep running whatever written inside till I is less than 10. Okay, so when it will be equal to 10, it will break out. So yeah, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so make sure you practice it, like it's very important to practice it, because this is a part that you need to make sure that you understand, because we will be using it a lot in the course ahead. So yeah, that's, so what if we don't put this condition here? Okay, so this is a very, I mean a situation that you won't want to get into. Why? Because I we have initialized by 0, and this loop will keep on running till I is less than 10. Okay, so and you are not changing I, you are not incrementing it, so I will always remain to be 0, and ultimately it will crash your program because I is not changing, and you have put the condition that while I is less than 10, keep printing I. Okay, and I will always be less than 10, so it will keep printing 0 for infinite long time, and this leads to an infinite loop. Okay, this leads to something called as infinite loop, uh, a bug in a program. Okay, so make sure you do not fall in this situation. Okay, so make sure you properly do this. There can be different version of while loop. So suppose I say that I is equal to 10, and while I is greater than equal to 0 or greater than 0, print I. And then in this case we want to decrement I, because I has started with 10, and if I want to decrement it after some time, the condition is still the time it's greater than 0, so we want to decrease it. Okay, so if you now do it, it will again print I, but this time it will print it from 10 to 0. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because we haven't included 0 in the condition. So I hope you got the idea behind while loop. Okay, let's discuss something called as break statement now. Okay, so what happens is, suppose during the time of your for loop, I mean let me again show you what I'm trying to say. So you know that your for loop keeps on running for different values. So I is equal to 0, I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2, I is equal to 3, or any variable. And in the same, you suppose at any particular point, suppose when I hit 5, I mean it's going to 10, but suppose when I hit 5, you want to stop this program, you want to come out of that loop. Okay, so then you use for break statement inside the loop. So suppose we wanted to achieve that task, so let's first write the code and then try to understand what I'm trying to say. So for I in range, suppose 10. So by default, if I put 10, it's just the stop condition. Okay, and start condition is 0 and increment condition is or the step condition is 1 by default. So if I write uh, print I, what I'm saying, if I is equal to 5, break. Okay, so what this break keyword does is, as soon as this condition is met, your break keyword takes your program out of this loop, irrespective of whether it has completed or not. Okay, I mean, even if it has some iterations to perform, it will come out of the loop. It will make your program come out of the loop. So suppose you want to, here it is print reached here. Okay, your program will print this reached here just after when I will be equal to 5. So let's see this. Okay, so you can see ideally this program should have run till I will be equal to 10. So let's suppose I have not written it. Okay, let's suppose I have not written it. In that case, let's see what is happening. So I is going to 9 before printing reached here. But if I print, if I just put that in the place, okay, so it, sorry, I haven't saved it, so it didn't get printed. Yeah, it just stopped after I reached 5. So basically what has happened, guys, basically your program, so whenever inside a loop you want to break out of the loop when a certain condition is met. So generally uh, it is done when you are using conditional statement as well. So whenever inside the loop you want to come out of the loop when a certain condition is met, you use break statement. Okay, so in this, the condition is, if I has reached 5, you break out of this loop and you print restare. Okay, so guys, just to conclude, we have seen a few things. We have seen how to perform a task multiple number of times, and how does exactly loop works. Okay, how can we achieve the same task using while loop. Okay, that we have done using for loop. The third thing we discussed is how not to fall into the trap of an infinite loop, and how to use the break keyword to stop your loop from getting executed inside your for loop or inside loop, when a program has to be executed some more times, but if still you want to come out of it, come out of the loop, you use that particular condition to break out of the loop. Okay, so make sure you understand this particular segment of this pre-course clearly before moving further, because this is very very important. All right, in case you have doubt, let us know through the Slack channel, but I mean it's very important for you to understand this before moving forward. So thank you so much. See you in the next segment.